Hello everybody and welcome back. This is SpiderButton.com's Android Application Development Lesson 2, where we are going to explore intents. In this tutorial, we're going to use an intent to start a new activity. We're going to look at some of the intents that are built into Android itself, and we're going to develop an app launched from another app. We are going to use intents to start an activity by following these steps. First, we're going to create a new project called Tutorial 2 App. Second, we're going to add a new blank activity called Main Activity. Those are the same steps that we followed in the first tutorial. Third, we're going to put a button on the user interface for that main activity. And fourth, we're going to add code to the main activity that starts the secondary activity when the button is clicked. Let's jump right in and start a new Android Studio project. And we're going to call it Tutorial 2 Project. And as you see down here in the package name, it should be com dot whatever you want your company name to be. Mine's SpiderButton dot the application name, which is Tutorial 2 Project. Okay, and moving on, we're going to keep it at phone and tablet. The minimum SDK we want to be API 14 Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich. And we're going to start with a blank empty activity just as we did in tutorial 1. And the activity name we're going to leave as main activity and allow it to go ahead and create our app. Now up here we have main activity.java. This is the Java for the activity. If we click over here at activity main.xml, you get the picture screen that says Hello World under Tutorial 2 Project, and over here you have your component tree that shows you have a plain text view that says Hello World. And the first thing that we're going to do is add a widget that is a button. We want to put a button on our screen, so just click button and drag it over onto the screen. And if you double click in there, it'll let you, beside the word text, you can change it, and we're going to change it to start second activity. And notice underneath the ID is button, so the ID that we're going to reference it with is button. And it says start second activity. So now that we have a button, we want to create a second activity. And the way that we create an activity once we're inside of the Android Studio is click on Java, right click, go to New Activity, and we're going to create Empty Activity. And we're going to call it Second Activity. Second Activity. And click Finish. Now we have a second activity. Now we need to insert some code into main-activity.java to let it know that when the button is clicked, it should activate the second activity. So we will need to do some imports, and I have this information copied over here, so I'll show you the information. All of these things should be imported. Okay, now that's a lot. It's not all needed right at this moment, but it will be for the rest of this tutorial. So go ahead and paste all of those imports in there. And then I will show you what you need to put in. We need to put in an OnClick listener for the button. And that is this code here. The button, activity button, find view by ID, and we noticed that the ID of the button was button. The start intent. We don't need this just yet. We're going to put this in at a later time. Okay, and so now we are going to try to run it. And the way that we do that is using the emulator. When you hit this play button up here, it brings up your emulator. You can create a new emulator clicking this button here, and you can choose any of these and you can create them. If your computer gives you trouble, you may have to activate the virtual device ability in your BIOS, or your computer may not support that at all. I did have trouble. I had an older computer when I first started trying to build apps, and I had to go buy a new one because I couldn't. So, but my computer was 7 or 8 years old. If you have a newer computer, you should have the ability. So now we see our app opening on our emulator, and our initial screen pops up and it says hello world, and there's our button that says start second activity, and when we click the button the second page comes up. That's beautiful. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to pass some information from the first page to the second page. And what we have to do is we have to put some information in the first page, which is that little bit that I took out of here. And you need it to say start intent dot put extra com dot whatever your business name, and it should match what it says up here perfectly. Com dot spider button dot message in all caps, and then hello second activity is going to be the message that we're sending. Hello second activity. You could say anything you wanted right there. This is the message that we're going to send over to the second activity. And then what we have to do is go over to that second activity and we have to retrieve it. So we're going to add some imports on this side. There's the imports that this side is going to need. And this bit of code. Activity second. We need to put plain text in there that says, "Hello world." Okay. It says "Hello world" there in the left corner now, and that is on the second page. And we want the ID to be message. And that way, the text that we send over here should show up there where the ID is message. We're changing that message to the one that we're sending over. So let's go ahead now and try that now that we gave it somewhere to put it. There it is. And when we click on this, start second activity, it says hello second activity. So it changed our hello world to the message that we sent over. So now we have been able to use intents to start a second activity and to pass information from that first activity to that second activity. Very nice. Intents can also help you to open a map. We are going to do just that. We are going to add a button that we click on. We are going to assign it longitude and latitude. The latitude is 180 degrees to negative 180 degrees east and west, and the longitude, of course, is 90 degrees to negative 90 degrees north and south. The Z component designates the zoom level, and then you use the action view intent to actually open the map. So now that we have been able to pass a message along, let's do something else really cool. Let's open up a map. First thing we're going to do is put a button on the page and call it Show Map. Or write on it, Show Map. We're going to leave it called Button 2. When we make more complicated programs, we'll worry about the names of the buttons, the ID. But for now, Button 2 is just fine. So we have Show Map. And then in main activity.java, we've got to put some code in here. And it's a lot like this OnClick listener for passing the message along and for recognizing that we click that to open the second activity. But it has the additional pieces where we state the longitude and latitude right here, and the zoom level is 23, so that's going to be pretty far zoomed in. 1 is the entire Earth. And then we get the intent here, the action view, which actually opens the map if it's not null. So if they have a map program. So there's your code there that has to be put in. And let's go ahead and try it and see if that works for us. And I've noticed that some people seem to have trouble trying these maps in the emulators, but I used this Galaxy Nexus API 23 and it worked just fine for me. Okay, there's our app. We can see Hello World, Start Second Activity, or Show Map. We're going to try to Show Map. And there you'll see it should show you the Googleplex. Those coordinates that we put in were for the Googleplex. And that's right where it went to. That's exactly what it should do. Perfect. Opening a web page from your app is done almost exactly the same way as opening a map. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's add another button. And let's change that text to spider button. And you notice the ID on that is button 3. And now let's go to mainActivity.java. We'll look at the Java. Now, if you look up at the Java for your button 2, you found it by its ID, you have an OnClick listener, then you stated where you were going to find your plot on the map, then you parsed it, and then you stated your intent, and then you said about if it was null. You're going to take those exact same steps. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and post what you need here. It's web button, and everything in here just where it said geo is now web, which makes a lot of sense. You have web URI, web URI, web intent. Okay, and let's go ahead and try this button out and see how it works. We clicked on spider button and it took us to google.com. Very good. So no matter what you're looking to accomplish within your app, there's an intent for that. If you need to take a picture, if you need to pick a photo or send a text message, there is an intent for that. And here we have listed a few more actions. The action dial is used to dial a phone number. The action send is used to send an email or a text message. And the action pick is used to select an image. It is good practice for you to determine whether there are one or more existing built-in intents that might help you to develop your app. That is it for this tutorial. If you're liking what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up. Hope to see you next week. Subscribe to the channel so you know when we put another one up. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.